your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what good you say? I dabbled in stand-up for something. I haven't even disrespected you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. Yes, we're back, baby. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We have a very, very cool special guest today. Before I bring him on, I want to just mention a couple of comedy shows I got coming up. Remember laughter. Come see me in Ohio. You know what's funny? Ohio. Doesn't matter if you live there. You can fly in for these shows, you know. Come see me in the very gorgeous Massillon, Ohio. Saturday, October 18th, Krackpots Comedy Club. Doing an early and a late show out there. Then I'll be in San Diego, October 23rd at the Mic Drop Comedy Club out there in San Diego. One of the best clubs ever. They have, well, you guys won't know this, but in the green room where the comedians hang out, they have a table with a glass top full of every candy and snack you could think of. So that's why I like to go back there to that club for the snacks. And then I'll be in Phoenix November 1st at the Mic Drop Comedy Club out there in Phoenix. And I'm working on a November 2nd gig out in Albuquerque. So stay tuned for that. All my new Mexicans. Do we have any new Mexicans listening to me? I don't know. I would like so. I would like some. If there's any new Mexicans in the chat, say hello. All right. Oh my gosh. This guy, he has quite the resume. He's almost too big a deal to be doing this show. He's the creator of HBO's Carnivale and Nick's The Astronauts. He's a writer. He was a writer and EP on The Blacklist. Spartacus Blood and Sand. Ooh, I actually watched that show. Very cool. And he's got a new project, a new book coming out called Gingerland, which I can't wait to hear all about. Welcome to the show, Daniel Knauf. Clap, everyone. Hey. Clap for Daniel.
How you doing? Wow, at this light. If I was anywhere white, I'd be transparent. It's terrifying.
I feel that way too, especially in the winter months where like my tan officially wears off and I have to go to the self-tanner.
Well, I'm in Tuscany, so I was tan up until about a week ago. And then it started to get cloudy.
Wow. Thank you for pulling yourself away from gorgeous Tuscany, Italy to do this show. My goodness.
Well, I didn't really pull myself away. I'm upstairs in my study. I've got this fabulous place where I write.
You pulled yourself away. You could be drinking wine. You could be eating cheese, whatever else they do in Italy.
I'd be downstairs with my Italian wife. And
yes, you have an Italian wife. Daughters. Oh my goodness. I have an Italian husband and his whole family, very Italian to the, like I was
Italian or Italian American?
What's the difference? Like they're not off the boat, but maybe their grandparents are off the boat.
But you know the term WAP, right?
Yeah, they're sure.
You know what that means.
They're not like Jim Tam
without papers. Without papers. That was where that nomenclature.
Right. That's what WAPs comes from. Not to be confused with WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, I believe.
Yeah. WASP is so much more menacing than WAP. But
yeah, I think they are kind of WAPs. His parents are from Naples and Sicily. I forget.
Oh, so they're first gen. Yeah,
I think so.
My wife is an Italian national. So
Ooh,
she's
which means she has 2 passports. And does she have an accent?
she doesn't have 2 passports. She just has an Italian passport.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
yeah, she has an accent. There's like words that she says that it's like I don't correct her ever on because it's just so sexy.
Oh, like what did she say wrong? Like Pokemon? I don't know.
I'm so tired. Tired. I just my heart skips a beat every time I hear her say that.
I love that. How long have you been
She
guys been
doesn't call
together?
me her husband. She just calls me husband. Hello,
Ooh, husband.
hello, husband.
Husband, can you take out the Italian garbage? Can you?
Oh, the Italian garbage is actually. I've got this. I have to take it up this drive. I live in the hills outside Tuscany on a very big piece of property,
That sounds
and we
beautiful.
have
I'm so jealous.
olive groves. You're welcome to come visit.
Really? Can I come and pick
Yeah.
olives for
If you're ever
you?
in- well, that happens once a year, and we don't have much of a crop, and it's not, it's not like huge. I mean, it's not like, it's not like we got a factory here. And we got fruit trees, and we got rolling lawns, and we got, it's big, much bigger than it's like park. It's like living in a park, and I have to take the trash out, and everything in Italy is separated. It's this like glass one day and plastic the next day, and then paper the next day. And so it's like I'm humping this and it's these little teeny bins. So it's not like you're rolling these big things up like you do in America. It's like you're
Right, where we have
carrying-
just piles
Yeah.
of trash.
they're
Well,
like buckets.
yeah, our trash
Yeah,
is
I
sort
know.
of, but then it eventually all just goes into one place anyway. They're like, that's cute. We don't really do
No,
that.
they don't do that. They don't do that here. I think it really actually goes to places here. So, but they're buckets, and I literally have to take. There's only one Sunday they don't pick up the garbage because everybody goes to church. There's no, there's no separation of church and state here. There's crucifixes at the bank and stuff.
Wow, I love that. I hope that's my hope for America. That I don't know, like that can come back a little more.
That we become a theocracy. Holy cow!
Wouldn't that be fun? It'd be cool.
Well, who knows? I'm a, it's so funny because it's like a lot of people go, oh yeah, you're so conservative, and it's like, no, I'm like a Kennedy Democrat, and I haven't changed at all. But I'm now a fascist, so it's like by today's standards, that makes me like a fascist, and so I'm just like, wow, the left sort of left me behind.
Daniel, you have a very interesting origin story. You studied fine art in English, and then you went on to be a health insurance broker until your 40s. And then you suddenly realized, like, no, this is something I have to do. I have to get into showbiz. I must be a screenwriter.
Yeah, it's a little bit different from that, though. It's a little bit different. What happened was I went into the family business, which is a health insurance business. And I was doing consulting for large and small employers, setting up their health plans and then negotiating with big insurance companies, which was kind of fun because my job description was repeatedly kicking insurance companies in the balls until they submitted. That's a pretty good job. So I was doing that, and I was getting, I was getting more and more unhappy. And, people sometimes go, gosh, I'd like to be a writer. I'd like to be an actor. I'd like to be this. I'd like to be that. And so if you were that, you would be that, because if you're an artist and you're not making art, it's kind of like a shark that stops swimming. Like you just can't breathe. And so when I was 27, I found myself like suicidally depressed. I mean, I was doing really well in the insurance business, but I was like, dangerously depressed. And so I actually checked myself into a psychiatric facility. And within a day or two, I found myself, I was writing again. I hadn't written since I was in college. I realized, okay, well, I guess I got to do this.
Was this like a Hollywood psychiatric facility where they like, the
Yeah,
answer
it was a
is
place.
creative?
Yeah, it kind of was. It was a place called Los Encinas, which I called club medication. They were like, I think there was like a person from the Hearst family in there, and there were a lot of Hollywood people in there. But it was substance abuse and depression. And it was sort of like when you read about the stories about the making of the Planet of the Apes, and it's like all the gorillas separated themselves from the orangutans. That's how it was at Lost in Cenas. It's like there was very little mingling between the people who were drunks and drug addicts and the people who were just nuts like me. So
that's how I've heard prison is. Everyone gets separated by race, and it becomes very like Lord of the Flies.
I wasn't really racial. It's just like diagnostics, you know. And
okay, so you're separated by issue.
Yeah. So it's like I realized, oh well, I have to do this, you know. And so I started doing it seriously when I was about 27 years old, and I started going to this workshop at American Film Institute. It's the American Film Institute Alumni Association. They did these great, you know, the second Tuesday of every month type of thing. And I realized that group was kind of divided into two. And one was the people who were just focused on developing their craft. And the other group was the people who went to all the premieres and met all the people and did all the networking and I thought, you know what? I don't want to, you know, you can get successful that way in Hollywood, as you know, I mean, attending the right functions and meeting the right people and making the right contacts. But the problem is all those people who get in that way, they're frauds. And so they know that they're totally replaceable. And they know I didn't want to spend my nights, you know, feeling like, God, I can't believe I'm here. Who's going to be here next? And I at least want to develop a skill, you know. And so I dialed it in, and for like I think about 13 years, what I did was I just started developing my craft and doing the best I could and writing in complete obscurity. But I was running a business too. So I was running this health insurance agency, and I was writing at night and just, you know, 1 script, 2 scripts, 3 scripts, 4 scripts, 5 scripts.
How did you know to write a script? How did you even know where to begin?
Oh, Sid Field's book, Screenplay. It tells you everything you need to know about structure. You know, you don't need, there's The Art of Dramatic Writing is another good book, but Sid Field kind of lays it out for you as far as like, you know, how to stretch a canvas, but he doesn't tell you what to put on the canvas. I mean, that's where the art comes in. A lot of people, you know, like these script gurus and so forth, make quite a big deal out of structure because that's the only thing you can quantify in the process. So, you know, so if you master this, you're going to be great. Well, yeah, what you've done is you've mastered how to stretch a canvas. You know, that's not going to get you there. You know, and so you know, and what you put on that part of it's not very easily taught. You can develop a talent, but you don't. You know, it's sort of like you can. I used to have this argument with one of my mentors all the time, Cliff Osmond, who was a brilliant actor, and he said, "I can teach anyone." He used to talk like that. I can teach anyone how to act. And I'd say, no, you can teach anyone how to do a scene. But if they do the next scene, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They got, you know, you can teach somebody to do a dance, but you can't give somebody rhythm. And that part of it is something that's hard baked into you, you know. And I was a storyteller as long as I could remember, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I developed my craft, and then I got to be about, I don't know, 40, and I told myself, you know, well, if I'm not really making it in this screenwriting thing, I had some success. I sold a Western to HBO in '92, and then I got up to be around 40, and I thought, you know, and things weren't really happening, and I thought, I had told myself, if it's not happening, I'm just going to start writing novels. But what I hadn't realized is that I come from a long line of really sore losers, like we're the people who flip the Monopoly board and throw tennis rackets and do crazy shit. And as my brother says, show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser.
You're used to losing.
So I thought, I really am going to make a run at this and start trying to sell the stuff. And so I created this website around the turn of the century, around 1999 or so, called Unmovies, and I posted all my scripts on there. And nobody had really done this.
Unmovies?
Yeah, it's not live anymore.
Okay.
And I posted all my projects up to that date. I posted the first acts, and I said, hey, if you want to read the rest of it, call me. And it then became another thing altogether. It became sort of a blog before the word blog even existed. And I actually took that. There's a book I have on Amazon called Stupid Writer Tricks, where I took all those essays that I wrote on Unmovies and collected them. But anyway, I did that, and then a guy called me and he said, "Yeah, we want to read your television pilot." And I'm thinking, what television pilot? And then I remembered that I had this screenplay that wasn't working as a screenplay. I mean, the first draft was like 200 pages long, and I thought, this is just, I don't know what this is. And it was Carnivale. And so I had taken that and turned it into a television pilot, and I threw that up on the website. And so he had read the first act and he wanted to read the rest. And he worked for a guy named Scott Wynant, who's an Emmy-winning director, producer, television. And he had basically told his assistant, Robert Keobod, who was the guy I was talking to, he said, "I'm so sick of doctors and lawyers and cops. Just find me anything but doctors, lawyers, and cops." And this guy found Carnivale, and
Wow.
and so he brought it to Scott. Scott liked it. They met with me. They were probably terrified because I'm just walking in off the street, and Scott tells me, "Well, you need a Bible," and I don't know what a Bible is. He tells me what a Bible is. So then I sit down and write this Bible, and is a little different than most Bibles. I think that's on the internet. You can find the Carnivale Bible. I just created this thing that made it look like it really happened.
How do you write a Bible? Like what is?
Well, a series Bible would have all the major arcs. Well, it has the premise of the show, all the major arcs, story arcs of the show, all the characters and what their arcs are within the show. It's basically just a sort of an encapsulation of what the show is,
Okay, like a Cliff Notes.
Yeah, and if you go to my other website, which is Knauf.tv, I've got a whole bunch of them. I've got series decks, which are more like sales pieces, and I have series Bibles. And if you're an aspiring writer out there, there's not a lot of sources for those, but my site's one of them. You can look them up. And so I did this writer's Bible. I did this Bible for Carnivale, and we went to HBO. And all of a sudden, it's like I get a green light from HBO to do my show. And so I literally started out at the top. I mean, there were guys trying to get on HBO, had been in the business for 20 years, and they couldn't break in.
Wow.
And I had never been on a show ever, and all of a sudden I'm executive producing an HBO series that I created.
That seems so scary. Like, I don't know.
It was absolutely terrifying because I knew a lot of things because I'd run a business, and I knew how to manage people and assets and bring them in and not just squander them, which is what the showrunner's job is. And so I knew a lot of, but what I didn't know was the kabuki theater of it. Like I sent a memo one time, and I got dressed down by one of the other executive producers. He says, "Oh no, you put the names in the wrong order. This person's name is supposed to be first, and this person's name is supposed to be second."
Okay.
And I'm just going, "You got to be kidding me!"
So much finessing that has to happen.
It's it's just ridiculous, and it's all driven by fear, and it's an flop sweat out there, and everybody's terrified they're going to get fired.
Hmm.
And I had a superpower in that I was old enough, and I had skills. And I mean, somewhere around 50, 55 years old. By then, we're all born with a big bucket of fucks, and my bucket was empty by then. So people yell at me, and I just look at them like what? You're yelling at me now?
That's great.
Wait.
Oh, I want that.
Well, no, you don't want that. No, because they want you to be afraid. It's important. If they can't make you afraid, they can't control you, so they don't want to work with you. So that was explained to me by Dave Thomas from Second City. He said, Dan, I said, so you're telling me I have to simulate fear around them? He says, yeah, you got to pretend you're afraid of them. So, okay, whatever.
What about just good old fashioned respect of someone's work, or I don't know?
Well, yeah, they always treat you like, you could be a multiple Emmy winner and they treat you like you tripped over, you tripped and your head fell on the keyboard and, your body of work came out. You get no credit for anything you've done ever.
Wow.
They always think they're smarter than you. And I get I've gotten good notes from producers. I've gotten notes where I'm driving home, kicking myself in the ass going, why didn't I think of that? I mean, I've gotten really good notes, but I've gotten some really stupid notes. And you have to accommodate them, or all of a sudden you're difficult, And,
Who are you getting the notes from usually?
Usually it depends on the project. It depends on who's got juice inside the project. On Dracula, I was getting notes from, I don't know, a half a dozen people.
Wow.
You'd be conflicting. And I had to put the kibosh on that at some point, which, your Dan's being difficult. But it's like, no, I'm not, you're going to have to broom these guys because they're a bottleneck and they're making my writers work too hard. And we're going to have a shutdown if we keep this up. So you're going to have to fire them. And the network is, we can't fire them. Okay, well, you're going to have to just have them go away and leave us alone, So, there's times where you just kind of have to do that. I talked to a really good, very seasoned, I won't throw out names, but very, very accomplished and award-winning showrunner. And he was doing a show, and he had we started going through all the people he has to get notes from. And I think it added up to something like 14 people. 14 people or entities.
And you can't apply all those. Like, how do you figure out which ones to put in? And
well, what you do is there's a couple of tricks. One is I just call it sort of the fart in the elevator trick. And that is, it's a note that's so bad that you just don't execute it. And then nobody really says, everybody pretends that note didn't happen, other notes, sometimes what happens is you don't execute it, and somebody comes back around and says, wait, you didn't execute my note. And you go, oh yeah, well, I forgot, I'll try again. And then you try to put that off. The last resort is, I did my best and I just can't make it work, which is
can you ever say your notes sucked? Is there anything?
That's not a good tag. I've tried that one. It's not. It's not a good, not an effective tag. I did have a guy give me a note one time, and he was this British guy, and he wanted me to make it this. It was like this stupid change. It was like, we need to get. It was a shot. Put the shot in the script, and I said, well, shot has no meaning because we haven't laid the pipe to give it meaning earlier. So it'll just mystify the audience why we're hanging on this thing. That it just makes no. I try to be reasonable with him and explain to him why it didn't belong in the script. And he got more and more heated, and he's calling me from London, and he's finally I can hear him like spitting mad, and he's like, just do it, just do it. And I go, man, here's the deal, okay? You know, if you want me to do this note, you're going to have to get on a plane, and you're going to have to fly here to LA. And, you know, if you got a friend who's got a gun, or you've got someplace where you can get a gun, you're going to need to get a gun, and you're going to need to put it to my head and threaten to blow my brains all over the place if I don't do the note. And then I'll do the note. But otherwise, fuck off. I'm not doing the note, you know?
Do you agree with this comment here from Christopher? No one really gets their true vision when it's on a big network or a big budget movie. That's why David Lynch did a lot of smaller budget movies after Dune 84.
Well, you know, the vision thing is, you know, you're pyramid building. There's a lot of people, and you don't want to be telling. Here's what you don't want to be doing. You don't want to be going, I'm hiring this really good production designer. I'm going to tell him exactly what I see and exactly what I want. And then have him do that, and have him keep doing it until he gives me exactly what I had in mind, you know? That's not my tack. My tack is I just hire the very best people, and I give them some elbow room, and I give them a general idea of what I want. I'm not process oriented. I don't care how they get there. I'm results oriented. And it's, you know, it's like 9 times out of 10, they bring me something much better than what I thought of. So that's the way I roll. You know?
Yeah, you have to let them be creative too.
Exactly. I mean, look, it's a collaboration. So it's never going to, I see my vision as sort of being the starting point for something else. And that there's an army, literally an army of artists working on this thing. And they're all bringing something to the party. My job is to inspire them and exploit them, you know, and there's, I mean, they say, you know, outside of, there's only one book that was written by a group that's in the canon of like great books. It's the King James Bible, you know? And so that's the big argument for the auteur theory, that there's some singular vision behind movies. I don't believe that's even possible, especially with the modern filmmaking process, you know? But that said, David Lynch and Alfred Hitchcock, for that matter, you know, all these great auteurs, I don't think that I don't know, Kubrick may be an exception, but I think most of them have a clear idea of what the results are that they want. But if somebody comes up with something that's slightly better than what they had in mind, they'll grab it because they get credit for it. You know, it's like, wow, you know, that's a really genius idea you had. Guess who everybody's going to think came up with it? My name's on the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Why would I turn that down? I don't care if it comes from, I mean, if the caterer comes up with something great, you know, it's like, thank you very much, you know?
And I really like the way you laid out the snacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep those bagels coming.
I remember my dad was a Teamster, and like I was listening to another podcast that you were on, and you were describing about like how you got into writing, or the process for how most people kind of get into the business, and kind of how hard it is generally, and like the networking involved. And my dad was a landscaper growing up as a kid, so he had a truck driving license. And I didn't know this story until after he died. Like a Teamster friend of his told me that he would just like show up because he knew he couldn't. He like was also in his 40s, knew he couldn't like do landscaping forever. Like his body wouldn't hold up, and he knew he had this, you know, truck license, and he would just show up and would get turned down. And I guess it was something about like him not being Italian was honestly part of it. And which I love. and I think he just ended up offering like the Teamster captain or the head guy like to do tree work for free like a couple times. And that was it. That was the thing that kind of helped him get in. And my dad is like the least starstruck, couldn't give two shits about Hollywood, anybody famous, like does not care. There's nobody that would get him starstruck. And I remember I'd visit him on set sometimes because he worked on like first season of Sex and the City and like Manchurian Candidate and like a Good Shepherd, like a lot of movies. And like when I'd visit him, if they were shooting in New York or in the city somewhere, I'd visit him. I would be so excited to like visit the craft service table, and he would like just like take me around and like he would tell people like, "This is my daughter," and I'd be like, "What, Dad? Do you think people think that we're dating or something?" Like,
well, yeah, I mean.
My daughter, this is my daughter.
Yeah, it's not my girlfriend. I don't have a 14-year-old on the set, you know.
And I would, it was more like probably early 20s because I was starting to do like my improv. I don't know.
Well, even then,
more career, so. But yeah, like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hadn't, you know, I mean, I hadn't spent much time on sets. What I was blown away with TV for was first time I went on a TV set. I'd been on movie sets, you know, and you're just basically like you're like the Coyote Ugly girl in the bar if you're a writer on a movie set. You're just like
just giving out shots.
Yeah, what are you doing here? You know. But on a TV set, that was the first time I'd ever seen, whoa, the writer has on headphones. The writer's got a pair of cans on. And they were actively producing and had input in power. And I liked that a lot. And so, you know, I mean, on a TV set, the director is sort of like, you're a showrunner. The director is your bitch. I mean, if you want another take, you're going to get another take. And if you don't like the way that he blocked a scene, you're going to have a chat with him, you know. But, you know, what I try to do is I just hire people that I don't have to tell those things to, you know. And the first person I ever heard who said that, it says, well, you know, was John Huston. John Huston was asked by a journalist. He said, well, how do you get these great performances out of these actors? How do you direct them into performance? He says, well, I cast actors I don't have to direct. You know, that's how you get those great performances. And so I cast actors like Amy Madigan, you know, I cast actors like Clancy Brown. I cast actors I don't have to have a chat with how to interpret a character with them. I cast the best production designers and cast the best costumers, you know. And
you're like the Yankees. You just get the best people you can.
You get the very best people you can so that you don't have to have those conversations. Because if I have to have that conversation with somebody, I have to fire them usually and replace them. So who wants to have that conversation? It's not me, you know.
I've been fired like 4 times, and it gets easier each time.
I've only been fired once.
Ooh, good for you.
Yeah, I got fired I was doing Year Zero. It was an adaptation of the Trent Reznor album. And I was doing it for BBC. And I was like the second guy. And the first guy had gotten fired. And he was like he was somebody I admired a lot. And he'd been fired. And I thought, wow, you know, well, I'm next in line. Oh, no, I've been fired twice. I got fired off of a Jesus project. That was interesting.
Oh, that's not very Christ-like.
Well, again, I mean, the guy who preceded me who got fired was a writer of some stature, you know. And so that wasn't fun. But yeah, I mean, but often it's kind of like a blend of, they usually go, well, we either need you to do this or you're going to be fired. And you go, yeah, just I'll be fired then.
Good for you. You're not
desperate. Some things here, it's like, no, you know, no. I I got a functioning, crystal ball. I know how that's going to go. It's not going to be I'm not going to be in a happy place in 6 months. And so let's just cut to the chase and bite the bullet and just move on.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You said earlier that you kind of would describe yourself politically as like a Kennedy Democrat. Now, being in Hollywood for the last 20 years, do you feel, how do you feel like, I don't know, have you ever felt like you had to like hide your political leaning? I mean, you're not even, you don't even identify yourself as like a conservative.
Well, first of all, I think, politics are so, politics to me are the least of interesting thing about human beings. I mean, it's angels dancing on pins. I think most people all agree on all the important stuff. I mean, they really do. And, everybody, there are universal values that are, people value kindness, people value courage. They value sacrifice. They value the things that make people heroes, that make people admirable, where there's a big turnout for the funeral, and I think that it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you're going to have the same kinds of basic, things that you all agree on. But we put such a white hot spotlight on stuff that we don't agree on, that it feels more bifurcated than it needs to be. And I think there's a lot of people that benefit greatly from stirring that pot and making people even, feel. Now, there are some things like lately, I mean, in the last 5 years, really, there's some values that have been pushed down the road here. They've been kind of pushed on people that I think are not universal. And I think even the people pushing them are doing it just because, well, if I don't, I won't have any friends anymore, or people will think I'm fascist or something.
Wow.
I think the idea, it used to be, it used to be that like when transgender people were, saying, hey, look, we don't want to be ostracized from society, and we want to be able to assert some rights, and somebody would go, well, the next thing you know, they're going to want to be in men, it will be in women's bathrooms, and everybody would go, oh no, that's never going to happen. It's like, yeah, dude, it's happened. It's already happened. And
all
so
the things happened.
Yeah. And it's like, look, I got two daughters. I got a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old. I'm not comfortable with the idea of them, sharing a locker room or a bathroom with a biological male. I'm sorry. Just so take me out around the shed and just shoot me in the head for that.
Call me old-fashioned. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't think that is old-fashioned. I think it's just practical. There's a reason why there's men's and women's sports. That it wasn't like the patriarchal society just came up with that thing. It's this diabolical thing to shut out.
Down.
No, it's because
down.
Women are built differently than men, and they're look. You don't see a lot of guys doing the uneven bars. Okay, I mean, there's certain things that women do, and there's gonna be things that men do better than women. And when you see combat sports, for instance, and you see boxing, okay, I'm sorry, but you don't put a woman in a ring with a biological male. It's just not. I mean, their bones are denser. They've got more muscle mass. That's just not a thing that we want to do, And
Unless you just
and
enjoy.
It's so practical and so obvious. It's like, but it was even when I came to Hollywood, and it was like the first job I had was while I was waiting. We'd done the pilot for Carnivale, and I was waiting to get word from HBO to see if the show would go. I got this gig on a show called Wolf Lake that lasted, I don't know, it's like, I think we had 7 or 8 episodes, if that, and it was sort of like a Twin Peaks with werewolves. And so we're doing this show with Alex Gonza, who's a wonderful showrunner, and I'd never been on staff before, so I'm kind of like a little like, wow, look at me, I'm on staff. this is interesting. I'm collaborating with like a room full of writers. What a weird thing. But you know, it was like I did that, and then 9/11 happened, right? Now everybody in America went to work after 9/11, and everybody in America had probably a similar experience, and that experience was those bastards. My God, we're gonna get those guys. That was their experience. But my experience in Hollywood was walking in and somebody going, you know, we were kind of asking for it.
Oh God.
And I'm sitting there just going,
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I'd said, I remember when I was a kid reading Superman comic books, it was like Bizarro World. And I'm going, what? We deserve it?
Yeah, by existing, by just
I just watched this on TV. I remember watching it stunned. It was like watching the scene with the Death Star destroying a planet or something, but it was real life and there were real people. And I was just like, I had to leave the room and go into the bedroom and I just broke down. It was this loss of human life. And so, yeah, you know, we were kind of asking for it. And I was going, what the hell have I come into? And I've seen it time and time again since then, with just this harebrained, I mean, God sad, you know, calls it suicidal empathy. And yeah, that it's functional and that's madness. You know, it's like, and there's a nastiness in Hollywood as far as that you don't see. I mean, the people who are kind of to the, you know, the right of, you know, of Mao Zedong in Hollywood kind of have to keep their heads down. But then again, I mean, at the same time, and I see myself as just a pragmatist, you know, and it's like I was having this conversation with somebody about Gingerland, which I'm folding my latest
which is
project.
not about redheads. I was very disappointed to find that out.
No, they already made that one, I think. But this is about gingerbread people. It's three gingerbread siblings, Holly, Nicholas, and baby Jem Sugarplum, who live in this perfect little winter wonderland, and they fall out of it and into the real world, and they realize that this place that they always thought was their world is actually just this holiday diorama under glass. In a crumbling old Adirondack hotel. And so the whole story is them trying to get home. And while they're trying to get home, you know, there's this sort of clawing, grasping, horrible hotel manager who's bent on destroying, you know, Ginger World. And you know, but really, it's a story. At the end of the day, it's really about the internet. It's about, you know, if you there's dangers to living inside a curated world. There's people outside the glass that do not mean you well, and so you best spend some time in the real world. And there's certain things inside the internet that you can't get. You're not going to get hugged. Okay. You're not going to feel the warmth of a relationship. You're not going to laugh over a meal. Yeah, there's very important human experiences that are impossible digitally. They cannot be replicated on the internet. You know, they can try, but it ain't gonna happen, you know. And so I got a Jack Russell Terrier who's humping my leg like right now.
I was gonna ask you what kind of dog you have because I heard him shaking, like I heard him like shaking off in the background. Oh, hello.
Boy,
What's
his name's
name?
Caesar. He's an Italian Jack Russell Terrier.
How cute. Oh my goodness. Hello.
No, stay off my leg though.
And his name was Skeezer?
Caesar, yeah.
Oh, Caesar. Oh, Caesar. Oh.
I call him Seizure.
Sweet.
So oh yeah, and Gingerland, and so I'm talking to one of my business partners, and we're doing this thing, and we're talking about, okay, well, we need to get, you know, involved with influencers, and we're talking about the idea of of getting an influencer involved. And we're throwing names around, and he throws out a name, and he says, "Oh no, this person's really, really popular." And I said, "Well, this person's very political, and we don't want somebody."
Who
like
was it?
I'm not going to say.
Would I know who they are?
You would know their name if I said it. Yes, but they aren't okay. They're not. It wasn't Robert De Niro. Okay.
Are they political on the seen as political?
Political
on the
left.
or on the right?
I mean,
okay.
look, yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, there may be people who I don't think there's a lot of love lost for Donald Trump in show business among celebrities. I don't think so. But there's some that are very public about it, and some that keep it to themselves. And I don't think it's a good idea for us as a product to blow off 74 million people who voted for a guy. Just from a practical standpoint, that's stupid. So
yeah,
and this isn't a political thing. I mean, look, gingerbread people are gender neutral, and they're all
they have no genitals, right?
They have no genitals, and they're all brown.
Yeah,
they have various shades of tan. No, we could go there. Look, this is just what I'm trying to do with this is pull people together, and what I set out to do with this project is I wrote it when I composed it. I composed it to be read aloud, and I didn't write it for kids to read it. I wrote it for parents and grandparents to read to their kids. And so
nice.
My inspirations for it were very much like Roald Dahl. Okay. There's what I wanted to do is create a story where it becomes a tradition, like other Christmas stories, to read this aloud, after dinner and everybody's snuggling up and, read a book. And that there's something magical about being read to when you're a child. And the story is in 4 parts. And I created, it was weird because I basically created this fake author named PJ Hummel. And I did a really deep dive on his mythology. And it's the same thing I do when I'm creating worlds for TV shows. And so I took all those techniques that I use. What I was doing is I'm a really accomplished screenwriter, but I'd never written a novel before. And I was having real trouble finding the voice for this novel. And and by that I mean, what level am I writing to? Am I writing this for little kids? Do I avoid big words? But I just what's the rhythm and cadence of this person's language, and and I haven't developed a voice as a novelist, and so what I did was I invented a novelist character, and
that's cool.
And so I invented PJ, and PJ wrote the book. So this is a PJ Hummel book, and what I do as a dramatist is I'm very good at writing in voice for actors to say things, So, if I'm writing a monologue for Red Reddington for The Blacklist, I know exactly how Red Reddington is going to, what kind of vocabulary he uses and how he's going to phrase things and how he's going to draw analogies and so forth. And I just did that for PJ. I knew what PJ's voice was because I knew PJ inside out. I'd created him. And so I knew, okay, this is how he would write this paragraph. And so
are other people doing this too? Is this a common practice?
No, this is, I don't know, maybe it is, but
I have never heard of this. This is interesting.
It's an adaptation I made because I'm a dramatist. I'm not a novelist. So I created a character and I gave him a voice, and then he wrote the book. So PJ Hummel's very real to me. I mean, I know what brand of cigarettes the guy smokes. So it's like
Marlboro Reds?
No, Lucky Strikes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was a veteran, but he didn't see combat. He went to Japan post-war. He's based on is an amalgam of a number of my father mainly. That picture there is my dad.
Oh, wow.
And also other people he knew and other people I met that were in that generation. You know, there was a certain kind of, and he's a journalist, so he's a bit of a smart ass, and he, but you know, but he's a Midwestern sort of, you know, from, you know, St. Cloud, Minnesota to Rochester, New York, and spent some time as a newspaper man and went off to war, you know. And then he wrote this book. But there's letters home in there. I've got fake reviews, fake letters home.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah. This is something I generally do. I don't know if other writers do this, but so there's PJ, and he wrote the book, you know, and so it was written in 1953 by PJ, and so it's set in 1953. But it's, you know, here's the deal about this is Christmas is really, first of all, it's a hard patch of soil to till because it's been leached by a lot of really great writers, from Dickens to Dr. Seuss, you know, I mean, and so trying to get an original story out of that is really hard. But I did come up with one, and I wrote it. And really, my process is to tell a ripping yarn. Okay, tell something that people pick up and they can't put down. It's like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And with characters they can relate to, characters that they recognize, and the characters that make sense. Don't do stupid things just so that the plot will work, you know. And so that is something I do. But then it isn't until after I'm done with a project where I go, okay, what were you really writing about here? A lot of people would, they put theme before they go, oh, well, here's my theme, and now I'm going to write a script or a book. And it's like, and no, that's not going to work, because then you're just writing a treatise, you know? And so it wasn't until well after I'd written the first draft of the novel where I said, okay, there's something resonating here, and I don't know what it is. So what the hell is going on with this, and what is making this so timely? And it was that it's this 3 gingerbread kids who live under glass, and they fall into the real world, and what they find out is that love, courage, heroism, and evil is out there, is outside there. Then there's people who really want to hurt them that they weren't even aware of when they were under glass. And you know, when we live on the internet and we're sitting there and let's go to, you're doing something that's benign. Oh, I'm going to go to Amazon and, you know, shop for some sweaters. You know, you go through it and you're looking at various sweaters, then maybe you're saving some sweaters, and then maybe you buy a sweater. And meanwhile, there's this bloodless thing that's tracking everything.
Wow.
And it knows everything about what you want to buy. And then, something turns up in your stream that's a sweater that's something that you might want to buy. Wow, what a happy accident that was. And it's like, this is fairly harmless, but what happens when it's not harmless? And what happens when people go, well, you know, if we can get people to buy a sweater, you know, that they don't need, maybe we can get them to vote for somebody that we want them to vote for, or to believe an ideology that we want them to believe. And so it's like a very powerful weapon. And there are people out there that they may not mean us harm, but they certainly don't mean us good. And so this is what that story is about, is these little gingerbread people who suddenly find out that you know, Crystal Klinderdorf has decided that, you know, that Gingerland is too maudlin and it needs to be replaced by this, you know, ice kingdom, and hires her best friend Monty, the New York artist, to create this ice kingdom with ice fairies, and they're gonna incinerate Gingerland.
They look gay for sure. They like New York
A lot of
City.
air hugs between these two.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
kissing.
oh, I did this thing. I'm gonna look at something here real quick. I did this thing with this where I was writing in verse. Can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I can't see me. But there's this thing where there's the entire book is kind of lyrical, okay? But there's sections that are written in verse, and right by that picture you're looking at, they're talking to each other, and it says, he turned to Miss Klindendorf and continued, "How can you draw a privileged clientele when they behold this ticky-tacky gingerbread hotel?" And it's like, to which Miss Klindendorf responded, I know. It's such a fright. It often keeps me up at night. It's like, oh God, I can't see it. There it is. It's like a cancer cell, the loathsome tumor's seed within the heart of this hotel. Yeah. So there's bits and pieces of rhyming verse that's written as dialogue inside this thing, and I don't know if all that was worth even.
Wow. No, that's cool.
Well, it's very old school, but it's an old school technique. But I had a lot of fun doing it. There's songs and stories, and I'm trying to find you again now. I'm sorry.
The window.
Yeah. What thing should I click? Are you in? No, you're not on Zoom.
I'm on. Yeah. Look for something that says StreamYard. I'll vamp while you look for it. That's interesting that you
vamp.
Bring that up about kind of the premise of this behind this Gingerland book. And I noticed something on your Twitter thread, your thread, talking about this. A lot of people are unsubscribing from Netflix because I guess this guy, Hamish Steele, who is the creator of this show on Netflix I guess that was, oriented for 7-year-olds. What is this show called? Let me see. I just had it up.
Yeah, I saw that piece, and it's like
Dead End Paranormal Park. So this is the clip here. I think a lot of people are upset about. Let me play a little bit.
It's not the park. It's me. I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney, and I can choose if and when I tell people. I've never been happier. And that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots.
Yeah, I see here that you please turn that off.
You're like, get it away.
I that's the thing is it's like do little kids need to be indoctrinated like that? I just
it's sad. And
I just think about how god awful hard it was to be in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a middle school and high school is horrible. I mean, you don't know. I mean, it is a real horror show, but God, I look at kids now and it's like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm a boy or a girl. And it's like, you have to deal with that too. I mean, what is it? Are we just piling it on? And no wonder these kids are just, so desperately unhappy and confused.
It's disgusting. It's like, it's demonic. And then you throw that on with all of the access to the internet. Like, just a lot of these kids have just unfettered unregulated access to the internet. So it's like they're seeing.
Well, it's like, would you send your kid down to the park by themselves and say, go talk to anybody? If you see a stranger, have a chat with them. No, but that's what they're doing on the internet, and you have these influencers that are basically, laying stuff out. It's not a healthy situation. It's an abdication of parenthood. It's completely irresponsible. But
and a lot of these shows are coming out, or at least this Hamish guy, he doesn't look like a parent. So it's like these people that are just kind of,
they don't have kids. No,
they don't have kids. They're kind of just delaying sort of.
They kind of hate kids, to tell you the truth.
I do think they hate kids. I think they hate the feeling that they should have become parents, or like, I think they're kind of protesting against this idea that the world thinks they need to become parents and grow up. So they're kind of eternally like immature forever.
I'm going to paint with a totally broad brush now. But what I found with people who are like extremely to the left or very, very woke is if you were to, nobody's done this. I would love it if some sociologist would do this, would be to ask, do you have a good relationship with your parents?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a good relationship with your father? Do you have a good relationship with, I would venture to say that more people on the far left are estranged from their parents than on the right. And that's not to say they all are, I mean, I know a lot of like super lefty people with super lefty parents, but even the super lefty, even the guys with the cool parents, are estranged from them. And if you, like, for me, my dad is my hero. I mean, he's, and he passed away quite a while ago, 20 years ago, but I miss him. I've missed him every day. I adored my mother, and we saw each other and chatted and had a good relationship until they died. And I don't think is true for people on the far left. And so I've been, I see these 20-something, white girls, on their, angry videos,
Right. And it's like,
and
just shut up and like live your life a little bit.
Well, I look at it and I go, look, hey, Cupcake, I'm really sorry Daddy didn't buy your Barbie dream van, that Christmas, and you decide he's a mean dad and you hate him forever. And I think the biggest problem, wow, they'll probably come out and cut my throat for this. Look, I think I've got my problems with Trump, okay? But no more so than I had problems with any president. I mean, presidents are, my friend, he's an artist named Coop, and he said they ought to have a law where in order to run for president, it's required that you have to, on television, you have to eat a dog turd, just so that people will know what you're willing to do to be president, how far you'll stoop, and I think that politicians are kind of loathsome, period. Anyway, I look at it as it's like a bucket of turds, and some of them are painted blue and some of them are painted red, but they're mostly awful, and Trump's no exception. But I think the big problem a lot of people have with Trump is he reminds them of their mean dad. He acts like that guy.
His daddy.
He tells stupid jokes, and he's kind of like, he's not super articulate, and he's kind of closed-minded.
Absolutely. That's all the ire for Trump. He's triggering your daddy issues.
I really do think that that's a big part of it. And I think that it's just like, that's what drives them completely insane is because the hatred that they express for him is so beyond politics.
What he's putting out there too. And
whether he deserves it or he's putting it out there, what I'm saying is the passion that he inspires in a very negative way is so outside it's like,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't really about the president. This
Because
isn't about
when's the last
politics
time
at all. This
he's
is
kind of the
something
most,
personal.
like, personality wise, he's the most alpha male president we've had in my adult life. I can't think of, like, did
Well, yeah,
anybody
I've
see
known some alpha. Yeah, most
George
alpha males.
H.W. as an no, I don't think so. I mean, it
Yeah.
has to
Well,
be
he's not. Most alpha males I know don't do a lot of talking. He does too much talking to be a real
true.
alpha.
He is very
He's a high beta, maybe. I don't know.
high beta. Okay.
Yeah. But he's unapologetically male. He's not. It's like, but he's impervious to all this stuff. He says these things, the grabbing pussy thing, that they thought, oh, this will sink him. This will destroy him. And it's like, no, it's like, no, it didn't impact. All it did is it said, oh, he's one of those guys. Yeah, I've met those guys. I'm not one of those guys, but I've been around guys like that. And those are the guys that actually, by the way, don't get laid. But almost always. Those are the guys who are always
talk a big game.
Yeah, and so, and then this whole thing with the Epstein files, and I mean, I just sit here and I go, if he was in those, like if they had the goods on him, we would have known about that years ago. Yeah. It's like they wouldn't be. They were grasping at straws with the Russia thing. Like they wouldn't even bother with these spurious.
They had to create so much.
If they had the goods on him with Epstein, that would have been playing front row and center. I mean, and so it's like, what did they do? They decided to be discreet about that and hid it away, But it's like, no, it's pretty clear to me. Whatever reason they've decided not to release those things, I think they bit off more than they could chew. And I think they realized, okay, there's some things here that could really blow things up.
Yeah.
I think they might have something to do with Mossad. It seems as though
probably,
certainly.
It's probably like, he probably figures like, is it really worth it? Can I do more good as a president by kind of keeping the lid on this? Even though they did tease it out a bit too much, and the American people are like, we like to pretend it's not a thing anymore. But you've got to figure there's some really good reason.
Well, Maxwell was deep in bed with them, and he had that connection with Ghislaine, and if that's how you say her name, Ghislaine, I don't know. But there's enough sort of smoke out there to figure, okay, well, he was running a honey trap. He was running, and I whether it was on behalf of a foreign state or whether he was just lining his own pockets by shaking down the guys he invited out to the island, I don't know. But it's like, okay, why haven't they released that? Well, when you see these people, well, it's because Trump's a pedophile and he was banging 15-year-old girls. It's like, no, he wasn't. Because we know that. We didn't know that.
He's afraid of getting Clinton. That might be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's like you read this stuff and you go, well, you're taking these crazy shots that miss. And it's something new every week. And it's like, and the talking points are so coordinated. It's like, okay, this week we're all going to talk about how he's spending money, to do a ballroom instead of pay for health care. That's our talking this week. And so you read a million
freaking agreement
posts. It's all the same thing. And you're just going, God, it's like, and people, but here's the thing is, I mean, 5-10 years ago, I didn't see through that stuff, but I think people do now. I think people go, oh, okay, well, patterns forming here. The other thing that's really weird is how it's like, they act like they'll say something like, okay, like that Weingarten, that Randy Weingarten. She was like digging in her heels about, oh no, schools aren't going to open. We don't want teachers to die. I got to protect my members, I mean, she was digging in her heels like hard. And now she's going, oh no, I was the #1 advocate for opening up schools. And you're going, these tapes aren't even that old.
Yeah, people can
like,
find.
like, are you crazy? I mean, it's like it's all on tape. Like I mean, and they do it because I think that they know that there's going to be a certain number of people out there that will just they'll buy anything. But
It's
but
true.
here's
Yeah.
the deal, like TV, for instance, TV, when they did demos, they go, okay, we're going to go. When they started getting scientific about ratings, they go, okay, well, big ratings are great, but it's even better if we have the 15 to 25-year-olds, because they haven't made their lifelong buying decisions on what. So if we can get them to buy Crest instead of Colgate, that's a customer we're giving to them forever. So it's got more value in that age classification. So they started saying, okay, so let's do programming let's focus our programming for 15 to 22-year-olds. And what they don't remember is that people who are between 15 and 22 are idiots. And so what you're doing is you're creating programming for idiots.
For children. Yeah.
And so, well, not just slow children, okay? And so then you have ABC, NBC, CBS. They've all burned their brands. Like I did a show called Dracula for NBC, and it was as good as anything I did for HBO. It was very well done. The Downton Abbey people were on it. It was a class act, and it was really edgy for TV, but nobody watched it. And I would tell friends, you really got to watch this show. It's a really good show. And people go, I don't watch NBC. Like smart people just would say, who watches network? No, I don't watch network. And so they've totally burned their. I mean, Disney, for instance, where did they make bank? I mean, they made bank because you could sit there, you could take your kids, you could put them on the sofa, you could turn on the Disney Channel, and then you could go get your shit done, and you didn't have to worry about anything. They're not going to see anything controversial or anything that ideologically upsets you. Okay, they're generally going to be getting fairly bland universal values, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But now that's not true, and so Disney has just burned their brand, and it took them 75 years to gain the kind of trust they had with mom and dad, and
10 to blow it away.
And less than that, as soon as those tapes appeared where people are going, oh yeah, we're sneaking in these trans and gay characters in every single cartoon we have. It's like, oh yeah, you Bud Lighted your whole brand. Yeah, it doesn't take much to just to burn stuff down, and the NFL is doing it right now. They've been doing it for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's like you've forgotten you've lost your way. You don't know who your customers are anymore.
Yeah. They're in a bubble.
Hollywood's done that, in a lot of ways. It's like, no, people don't want to be told what to think. They just want to watch something that moves them emotionally. They want to be moved. They want to see stuff they want to see characters that remind them of themselves a little bit, or how they would like to be, and they like to see the characters doing things, making choices that are maybe heroic. Or if it's, like a Sopranos, they want to see them doing, terrible things that they don't dare do. It's all wish fulfillment and so forth. But, it's about entertainment. And
not activism. Yeah.
No, and it's like that's antithetic to entertainment. And so, there's a lot of opportunities in that, I think, for artists who aren't political like me. I'm just not. I don't consider myself political. Who just want to do good stories,
We have a super chat from Matthew Hammond here. Thank you for the $5, Matthew. Did Daniel notice in the movie, in the move in the 2000s, where TV became less stigmatized and people moved away from movies to series for storytelling?
Yeah, absolutely. Part of it was the rising of the long form serial, which had never been done before, and except when miniseries like Roots and stuff, they were sort of proto things, but it wasn't really until you started getting into the streaming networks where you started to see that kind of storytelling happening. I think that in films have, big, and I'm talking about big budget films, not indie films. I'm talking about like studio fare, are not really movies anymore. They're more like pageants. It's like a fireworks show. And it's like, okay, we've got this sequence, this big sequence. The director gets very excited. And then we've got a little narrative thread that ties together these spectacular sequences. I think it's probably akin to the kind an afternoon at the Colosseum in ancient Rome. Oh, well, they're bringing out the Christians. They're going to feed them to the lions. Oh, now we got the gladiators. There's not, because when you go to a movie, generally like big Marvel superhero movie, 10 minutes after you see it, you go, okay, tell me the plot of the story. You'd be hard pressed to do it. I don't remember it, whereas with TV, you can't afford, like, they can spend more on one fight sequence in a John Wick movie. Okay, they can really, the kinds of fight sequences where it takes a week to shoot. We got a week to do the whole episode. Wow. And so there's absolutely, the economy, it's impossible. We cannot deliver an incredible car chase on television. We can't deliver a great close quarters fight or a spectacular sequence on TV. So rather than going big, you got to go deep. And I think that what people were kind of starved for that in movies. They weren't making movies like Bonnie and Clyde, and they weren't making, after Star Wars, it sort of became all about spectacular this and spectacular that, and really deep character movies kind of fell by the wayside. But people need it. People need to hear those. They need those stories, and they got them on TV.
Cool. Okay. Matthew Hammond with another question. How will TV series be funded in the future?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing these days. I decided, okay, well, the studio system seems to be dying or dead. Hollywood is dysfunctional, completely paralyzed. The big streamers, there used to be a community. It doesn't exist anymore because it's now, Silicon Valley moved in, and you're not making movies or TV, you're making content, and it's just a weird place. And I realized, okay, really, what's the difference between what stands between me and making something? And it's money. I just need money. So going to Hollywood for money is like going to a bank to get a home loan, only they get to pick all the curtains and the carpets and the paint on your walls. And can you imagine a banker?
Oh, like my house looks like a bank.
Yeah, we'll loan you the money, but we want to make sure that you get Venetian blinds in the living room. And so what I found is, okay, where do they get their money? And so I'm basically going. I'm approaching in funds, and I mean like investment funds and high net worth individuals, and saying, hey, here, I got these, I got this project, and you got some money, let's go do it, and I'll make you some more money. And that's really all. I mean, I think it's really important that everybody gets their money back, that they actually make money. So it's like, I'm certainly not prolific. I'm not just doing a big ego rush. I want to, because see, making money on a show or a movie just indicates that there were eyeballs on it. So I want as many eyeballs on what I do as possible. I love playing Shea Stadium. I'm not really into little clubs, and So, and those are the that's what I do, that. And so I think it's artists going directly to either maybe crowdfunding, which is a pain in the ass. I've done that before, or going to, you go to a billionaire and you say, hey, can you give me $1 million and I'll go make this movie or this series? And you come to them. You don't come to them with you come to them with a script, but you come to them with a business plan too. Okay, here it is. Here's some models. Here's how this model's out. And you're approaching it like, okay, this is a business venture, and approaching the money directly instead of going through, dealing with all the trolls on the bridges in Hollywood.
Wow.
So
yeah,
that's been my tack lately, and I've had a little success with it. Also, Europe is a really great place to do business. They love artists in Europe. They treat you very well. I mean,
and you probably get a long lunch hour. You probably get like a 2-hour lunch break.
Yeah, there's that. They basically have great respect for artists over here, whereas in America we just think of them as just like bums with Underwoods, But they do treat you much with a lot more respect. Even when they fire you, they're more polite. I got fired by an Italian company. That was the second one. That was the Jesus Project.
It was a lovely firing.
Well, they were kind about it. I mean, it's like it wasn't working out because the Monsignor doesn't like what you're writing, and the Catholic Church gives us 30% of what we're using.
Okay, there you go.
And it's like, yeah, the Monsignor, you didn't meet the Monsignor's high standards for dramas about Jesus. Yeah. Oh.
I want to know, so for about 20 years ago, from 2006, I'm reading this like right out of your bio, from 2006 to 2008, you and actually your son wrote several issues of Iron Man.
We did Iron Man for over 2 years.
Yes. Yeah. And for Marvel, and then in 2008 you wrote a 9 issue for the Eternals. So what do you think of, I mean, what's been happening to the MCU now? And it seems like they have a really hard time making a movie that makes money. And just
they've kind of killed that golden goose. I mean, it's like, how many reboots can you do on top of reboots on top of reboots? And it's like, after a while, people just get, they get bored. The audience is fickle. They want to see something new. And you can only play that chord every once in a while before people just they move on. But my feeling when writing comic books was really weird. I got approached by them after Carnivale went off the air. They said, we'd like to do a graphic novel version, and you can continue your story. And HBO said they just couldn't. HBO really didn't know how to deal with graphic novels. It's like, well, we own the artwork, right? And Marvel's going, no, and they just couldn't come to an agreement. And so then Marvel said, well, we really want you to do something. So, just pick one of our characters and you can do anyone you want. And I said, well, okay, how about Iron Man? Because I liked Iron Man because he's just a regular guy with money and a suit. That's basically it. And they said, well, okay, you can do Iron Man. And this is before the Iron Man movies. So it wasn't such a hot property back then. And so I realized, one thing I'd seen is there's, like artists come in who aren't in the comic book business, and they go, well, I'm going to elevate this, I'm going to transcend this, and they end up ruining it. Like Ang Lee with that Hulk movie is terrible. And it's like, I'm going to transcend this. And it's like, no, you don't know the medium. And so you're going to make all kinds of bonehead mistakes, and so I realized, I don't know I haven't read, when I was adults read comic books now. When I was a kid, if they caught you with like a superhero comic book and you were older than 12 years old, they'd just kick you to death out in the parking lot. So my son, though, was very into it. And so I said, I told Marvel, I said, look, I'll do it, but only if I do it with my son, because I didn't want to I want it because he knows comic books. And so they said, yeah, okay, we'll do that. So I called Charlie up. Oh, hey, Charlie, I got some good news for you. I said, Marvel's going to let you and me together write Iron Man. There's like this silence on
He
the
must
phone.
have been freaking out.
Oh, he's like 22 years old, 23 years old.
Wow.
He's like this silence on the phone. And then I hear he goes, you asshole. I go, what? So you're an asshole. What an asshole you are. I said, what are you talking about? And he says, April Fool's Day. And I look, it was April 1st. And I,
Oh,
it was actually one of April, an elaborate April
oh,
Fool's.
that's so funny.
Well, that's just exactly the kind of April Fool's joke I would do on him. I was that kind of a dad. I remember I was driving up Angeles Crest.
That was like
I was
his
driving
dream,
up this
right?
windy highway with my kids, and they were getting nervous. My daughter and my son were about 8 and 6 years old in their back seat, and I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and they got wide eyes. We're going around the corners, and there's these steep drop-offs. And I said, this is a really, really dangerous road, guys. There's a chance we might go off the road. I want you to know, it's not like the movies, like when the car goes off down a cliff and all that, and it bursts into flames or it blows up, or that doesn't happen. What happens? It just banged around, and then usually the people are alive still, but they're trapped in the wreckage and they can't get out. And these canyons are really isolated. So I just want you to know that if that happens to us, I'm dead. It's okay if you eat me.
Oh, that's nice of you.
That's the kind of dad I was. I see good parenting as being controlled trauma at all times.
I'll keep that in mind. I have a 17-month-old. Yeah, I'm just worried.
You do? Well,
yes, he's the best. Oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it is. It's also the most terrifying thing. They don't come with instructions.
No, they don't.
No.
No, and mine's running now, so I just have to
don't fall into that. He's gifted, Trav.
No, we are saying, wow, he's really smart.
Don't go there. Everybody goes there.
My husband was like,
none of the kids are gifted.
My husband was like, he's like, you won't believe this, Chrissy. Our son is really this smart. This is what he did today. He picked up the Amazon package, and inside of the Amazon package was his Halloween costume. He didn't know that because we didn't open it up yet. But his lion Halloween costume is in the inside of the package. But he picked up the package, handed it to me, and started roaring. He's a G. Yeah, how did he know?
When I got married, when I met my wife, she had the 2 children. I had 3 children, biological children. They're all grown up. But when I met my wife, she had the 2 children, and her, it's great. Yeah, she's a wonderful woman, and the man she was married to was not a really wonderful man. He wasn't great, I get along fine with him, but he wasn't really aces in the dad business.
He's a bum. Let's just say it.
I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble. But the thing is, it was a small pair of shoes to fill. Okay, but he it's like I said to her, I said, you've always got to remember, that your kids, like I was thinking about my ex, and I was thinking, I say, you always remember that your kids are half idiot. And you got to basically train that out of them if you can. You got to sort of, try to put a kibosh on that, and, sort of cultivate the side that's smart.
Which is, of course, my side.
Of course it is. Of course. She is.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about the MCU. Yeah. So it's do you think they're just creatively bankrupt, out of ideas? They just, I don't know, need to take maybe a 20-year pause on making movies? Is it fixable?
No, I mean, they keep. What's the next big thing? I mean, if somebody knew what that is, they'd be doing it. I I mean, if you know what the process is, especially when it cut. See, here's the big problem in Hollywood: is these guys who make these decisions, these executives, they all think they work in a bank. Okay, they think if I get the right IP, and by the way, these IPs, whether it's a book or a graphic novel or a Marvel character, these are Dumbo feathers. I mean, it's basically just something to give them some courage, But if I get the right IP and I get the right elements and I get the right actors and I get the right director and I get that all, the right director, the right stars, and I get the right piece of IP, then all my bases are covered. And even if it tanks, I'm bulletproof because I checked off all the boxes. And it's
Wow.
like, and I think that's filmmaking has been that way for a while now. And it's like you're not going to get very much interesting stuff in an environment like that. See, because they think they work in a bank and all they have to do is check off these boxes. What they don't understand is that they work in a casino. Hollywood is a casino, and you can check off every box there is, and it can tank. Okay. Or you can make a mess of something, but somehow it hits the zeitgeist and it's just a huge hit. The audience is capricious. The audience it's just like you never know what you're going to hit and when. I think as an artist, I mean, as a mass media artist, because my job is to, again, draw eyeballs. It's important that when I'm not creating this stuff in a vacuum, people have to see it and pay to see it, one way or another, whether it's subscriptions or box office or whatever. That it's got to be monetized because it's insanely expensive to work in this medium, And so, I think that a lot of it is about just having a nose for you can't sit there and you go, what do they want? The minute you go there, you're dead. You're dead. Okay. What I always do is I go, what do I want that I haven't seen for a while? What like what do I want to see that I'm kind of jonesing for, And again with Gingerland, I'm thinking, okay, it's been about 40 years since, look, they've done those Christmas movies. It's like Bad Santa and stuff like that. And
Elf, right? Yeah.
Really either really super snarky stuff or wise ass stuff, or just Psycho Santa stuff or Criminal Santa or whatever. They've done all that, where they've subverted the idea of the Christmas tropes. And I mean, look, I like Bad Santa. I mean, I liked watching Mel Gibson be Santa Claus in that other crazy film. I mean, I like those. But nobody's gone. There hasn't been a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There hasn't been a Grinch Stole Christmas.
People are craving that, and I think if there is a bit of a Christian revival happening, that's going to be even more of a reason to do it.
It's super hard to come up with, and also you're doing a tightrope walk over like a bubbling cauldron of cheese. Like you don't want to make it maudlin and super sentimental, and it has to be sharp. It has to be original. It has to be something that people can relate to and that people laugh at. But not at Christmas's expense, like you do with say something like Elf. It's like it's at the character's expense within that milieu. And the Christmas itself, the holiday, is treated with quite a bit of reverence in this story. But it's got like a lot of heart. And as an artist, that's a scary place to kind of go. Because you don't want people looking at you and going, "Oh, this is so old-fashioned," which is, "Oh, this is so cheesy, But I think I think I've dodged all those bullets because I don't like cheesy and I don't like maudlin, and so and PJ Hummel's sort of he's kind of a crackerjack, and
Yeah.
so this is a wholly original story, but it's coming from a place that we haven't seen for about 40 or 50 years, not since the Charlie Brown Christmas special, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think because and I think a good indication that Gingerland is going to do well is just look at Cracker Barrel. Everyone protested against the modernization of Cracker Barrel, and look at, we have our old school Cracker Barrel logo. So
yeah, the food's awful there now.
oh,
I don't know why they're.
I love Cracker Barrel.
I loved Cracker Barrel about 10 years ago, but I went and I was all excited because I was living in the valley. I had a place in the valley, and it's going, oh, there's a Cracker Barrel. It's like 4 miles away. I want to go to Cracker. I haven't been to Cracker Barrel in like 5 years. And I went to Cracker Barrel and I'm going, oh, this is glop.
Oh no.
Well, I saw a guy and they said they're not cooking the same way they did. They used to make everything fresh and now everything's kind of frozen or whatever.
Maybe
I don't know. I was very disappointed in my last Cracker Barrel.
What did you order?
It was breakfast. I mean, how do you screw up breakfast?
That's true.
Almost impossible.
I love so many things from there. Yeah, breakfast meatloaf is good from there. The soup is good from there. The dumplings. Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, well, in Italy, they have a lot of those things. They have.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're comparing it to Italy food, which is going to be.
Well, the food, first of all, doesn't have any poison in it.
No,
it's so weird to buy milk, and like 3 days later, it's gone bad. So they're getting actual milk, and the meat here in Tuscany. It's like, how you win every 20 steaks. You go out for a restaurant, every 20 steaks that you have, you get a steak and you go, oh, wow, that's a really flavorful piece of meat. Wow, this is superb. This is really good. It's like every steak.
Stop it.
It's just like you get a fillet and you just go, oh my God, this is so good.
Wow.
But what they don't have is they don't have Mexican food. They don't know how to make Mexican.
Okay. I don't know. I think that's a worthy trade.
And
but you're from Los Angeles, so you're gonna miss tacos and all that stuff.
Chinese food is Chinese. You went out for Chinese.
Chinese. Oh, one more super chat from Aldo Casabona, who sounds Italian also. Daniel, love your work. Any practical tips for this Chilean actor trying to make it in Hollywood? Cheers.
Fake it till you make it.
Oh, that's good advice.
I would, if I was an actor, it's really hard to, that's the hardest profession because you can study it. You can really get deep with the craft and the method and the whole thing. And then some guy who's an underwear model is suddenly a movie star and you can't get,
That's true of stand-up.
You can't get a Cracker Barrel commercial.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's got to be discouraging. I studied acting for about. I thought I wanted to be a director at one time, and I thought, it'd be a good thing to do is study acting, so I can talk to actors, And what I learned in acting school is the acting classes. I took it was a weekly workshop, and what I ended up learning is how to write. Really, it was. I tell writers, if you want to be a dramatist, get up and start getting some experience acting, because you're really just improvising in a room. That's what you're doing when you're writing. So I would really recommend finding the very best coach you can find here in LA. There's classes that they structure them for rehearsing for auditions. And really dive into your craft. And the more you do that, and the better you get. There's a certain point you reach where they have to sit up and pay attention to you. You know, I mean, if you get, you know, you may not get to that. You might not get to that. You might, there's a possibility you might not be good enough to break through. But here's the deal is you give it your shot, you do your best. And that's more than 99% of the people on earth do. Most people say, well, you know, I always wished I could be an actor. And it's like, they didn't try because they were scared of failing. Don't be afraid to fail. Just go out there and just sink your teeth into it and just tear it a new asshole, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my feeling is just, I'll tell you something, when I drive and I go someplace and I'm going to a crowded venue, it's a venue. It's like something you yell on an airplane. Anyway, but when I go to a crowded venue, and it's like I drive right up to the front door, and then I start driving from the front door, and I get the first available parking space from the front door. And then there's people who pull into the parking lot and they take the first place available and they walk 5 miles to the venue. It's just like those are bozos. That's not you and me, although that's somebody else. You drive right up to the front door, man.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
You take the first parking place right outside the front door if you can.
Even if it's handicapped.
Yeah. And if you can't get the Rockstar parking, then you're maybe 3 or 4, but you're close to the door. So just what you do is you just go balls to the wall and do it and pull out all the stops. And here's the thing that's the hardest thing. People who love you, your family, your friends, they're going to see you're struggling. They're going to see that you're going through pain and you're being rejected and shit. And they're going to think they're doing you a favor when they go, you know, maybe you should start taking some accounting classes. Maybe, you know, this is a dream you have. And they try to discourage you from doing it. Okay. Yeah. But here's the deal. They're not doing it because they want to sabotage you. They're doing it because they love you and they don't want to see you go through this. Nobody wants to see a loved one go through hard things. So you just take that and you let that just roll right off your back like water off a freaking duck, man. You just go. And, you know, when you make it, those people are going, oh, I always knew he would. You know,
yeah.
Those are the first people to say that. And it's like,
so right.
And even then you don't go, no, you didn't. You know, you go, yeah, my family always was super supportive on this.
Sure.
I mean, I had so many people rolling their eyes and naysaying when I said, I want to be a writer, you know. You just do it, you know, or die trying, you know. I
love that.
I mean, why not? I mean, you only get to live one time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why not, you know, why not go for it? You know, just go for it. That's my feeling. But anyway.
That's great. I'm very inspired.
Well, you know, that's my job. I think I'll be a life coach. I'll start doing life.
You can make a lot of money doing that. One more super chat from Matthew Hammond. Why did California kill the golden goose? I'm not sure what this means.
Again, they lost their way. I think what happened with California, I think they started to hire an awful lot of people out of. I think it's a complex question, but I think it speaks to the subversion. I mean, really want to get deeply into it. Is the subversion of academia by the Frankfurt School and the tendency for college professors to be Marxists and they think they're in the business of indoctrinating instead of educating, and they pump out these little pod people, and they end up getting these degrees from these very, very prestigious colleges, and Hollywood just loves that. Oh God, I just hired a kid who graduated at the top of his class at Harvard to be, and so I think I don't think it's just Hollywood. It's definitely operative in gaming, and it's operative in technology and tech and so forth, where there's this big sort of blob of indoctrination that came with them when they went to the Ivy Leagues or when they went to college. They don't even have to go to the Ivy Leagues to get that. And I think it's infected the whole process. It's like it used to be. It's like, okay, you're here to be part of a team so the company can make money. We're going to provide a product that people want that's useful. And GE, you look at even look at the old mottos. We bring good things to life. That was GE. McDonald's is your kind of place. Those were the old mottos. Then you get, you go to Google or whatever it was. I think it was Google. It's like, don't be evil. Shut up, please. That's not a motto. I mean, it's like saying, don't be a child molester,
Yeah. Don't be a child molester. That's that should be every company's.
Yeah, I think so.
You're funny, Daniel. Oh my gosh. I have to have you back on.
That's something coming from you because you're actually funny. Every drama writer thinks he's a fucking comedian. Honest to God, they all think they're funny.
I was laughing very hard on the inside when you said, like your family's like, maybe do something else. Because I just remember my mom, when I would go to, I spent 5 years doing improv classes. She'd always be like so condescending, like, how was clown school today? Oh, like, don't you think you're wasting the best dating years of your life going to these weird improv classes with these weird people?
Yeah, but they again, your mother did that. She's trying to, she thinks it's gentle discouragement.
Spare you.
But she doesn't want to see you get hurt. That's all it boils down to. She just doesn't want to see you get hurt. And my mom, I'll tell you, she said, when I told her, I want to be a writer, she says, what makes you think that you have anything to say that people would want to hear?
Brutal.
No, she said it. No, she was being completely sincere. She wasn't coming from a place of just, she was a genuine question. Like, what in the world is going through your mind? And it was weird because that question plagued me for like many years because I thought, it is the height of hubris, really, in a way, for me to think that I have a lot of people who are way smarter than me have said a lot of things, what do I have to bring to the party that hasn't been either brought a million times before or, and I mean, it's like really, it's kind of egotistical to think that, and what makes me do this? And it's all those guys who brought all those words to the party. It's like, it's Victor Hugo and it's Ray Bradbury and it's, Anthony Burgess. And it's all these writers who are gone now, had a huge influence on me as a young person and created a framework for how I approach the world and how I define heroism, how I define the right and the wrong thing, how I define villainy. Okay. And all these guys who sort of formed me who helped my parents, but they had a huge hand in forming me as a human being. And I can't say thank you to them, but I can pay it forward. I can have that effect on people going forward. So my whole thing is my stuff is never nihilistic. It's always redemptive. It's like, it goes to I've gone to some dark freaking places in my work. I mean, really dark places. But there's always redemption. Even if it doesn't happen, it's possible. It's turned away from, but there's always a potential for redemption. And I think that pretty much defines how I approach everything. Is not, I mean, all my work is that with people who see it are changed a little. If they're changed at all, really what I want to do is I want to entertain them. I mean, so they're not going, wow, that was a waste of an hour, and that I'm not interested in, torching, human life force, like the problem with the mass media is it's like, oh yeah, you write a clunky episode. It's an hour long and there was 1 million eyeballs on it. You just smoked 1 million hours of human life.
Wow.
So it's like, I take my job, it's like heart attack serious from that standpoint. I definitely want to entertain people so they don't feel like they wasted their time in watching it. They feel gypped,
Yeah.
But if I can, I want to always have that moment, and they call it the recognition, the ecstasy of recognition. And if you get one of those moments in where somebody's watching it and they're going, oh my God, I thought I was the only one who ever experienced that. I thought I was the only one who, lost somebody and kept an article of clothing for 5 years in my closet and would take it out and hold it and just smell the person. I thought that was my secret thing. I mean, what I'm saying is, or just a reaction to a situation where it's like, oh, I thought I was the only one. And then you look around, and you see other people with their mouths hanging open because they recognize that moment is true. And you realize, oh, we're all together on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have one of those in a movie or an episode of something, then
You've
people
done your
are,
job. Yeah. Oh.
I mean, and that's kind of what I'm kind of, that's what I want to do. And I want people to come away and it has a positive impact on them. If it's only to say, you're not alone,
Yeah,
you're
you
not
value.
all by yourself. There's others like you, and we have the same, we suffer like you do. And then we draw joy from things like you do. It's that kind of thing that reminds us of what it means. It's not you're a human. It's not about you're a human. It's you're a member of the human race. And we are the most awesome race on earth. I'm sorry, but you don't see a whole bunch of whales coming to rescue a person very often. I mean, I see like a whale on the beach and 50 people throwing buckets of water on it and pushing it into the water. I mean, I go,
whales
wow,
don't give a shit. Mm-hmm.
Those are monkeys. We're all monkeys, and we're helping the whale. Like, what an awesome species I belong to. I mean, it's like I'm a sucker for that, and
that's really beautiful.
That's true, though. It's just it's obvious. I mean, we are. Is it okay for me to say that we're the most awesome species on the face of the planet?
We are.
I'm sorry. There's who puts on like a jacket with wings on it and jumps off a cliff and flies around. Who does that?
That's true. You don't
do crazy ass shit. I mean,
they would.
I look at the stuff people do. This parkour, like doing the parkour running. I'm going
the parkour stuff. Yeah,
parkour. I'm going. Oh,
that's pretty cool.
What is it? Race? It's a species. It's not race. It's like this is an awesome species. Look at species
off buildings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm tickled to be human. It's great being a human. So let's celebrate that. There's a lot of cool shit about being a human. And so why are we focusing on, oh, everybody's so mean to everybody else? Oh, look, everybody kills everybody else. It's like, okay, got it. I know there's a dark side to it, but hey, how about this? Let's talk about this stuff that we do for each other. Let's talk about.
What a good reminder to get off the internet, and just live.
Yeah, I'm too old for that.
You're a delight.
I guess that makes me a fascist now.
Yes, that makes you a right-wing extremist.
Everybody's a fascist.
Everyone follow Daniel on Twitter at Daniel_Knauf. That's Knauf. And go to gingerlandbook.com. You can pre-order your Gingerland book right now on Amazon. When do they come out? If you pre-order it now?
October 21st.
Ooh, okay.
And in the meantime, there's a book called Saranac Mountain House Christmas Memories. It's on the internet. It's on Amazon and for sale. It's in a large format paperback with beautiful illustrations. It has an excerpt that's basically the origin story. So if you want to sort of get a head start on Gingerland, you can pick that up. Gingerland, I've got the artists, the authors like proofs, and they're just gorgeous. It looks like it's like a chapter book.
It looks so cool.
It came out in 1953. It's like,
I love that.
Oh, it's so cool. It's like so it's hardbound. It's a little expensive because it's hardbound, but trust me, my margin on it is like
it's worth it. And you know what? You'll have.
I'd have to sell you like 4 books to buy a pack of cigarettes. Okay, so it's hard getting up in the morning because it's expensive to print these things. It's full color. Yeah. It's on premium stock. I mean, the book itself is really kind of pulled out all the stops.
It sounds like a good investment.
So yeah, and it's sort of an heirloom edition. Hopefully you'll have it for some time, you know. But anyway,
I love it. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for your time. What a delight it was.
I'm sorry it was late. By the way,
stop. It's you're the best. I can't wait to have you back on the show. Everyone follow Daniel right now.
Again, maybe I'll be tan next time.
Let's do this again. I just adore you. Thank
If
you.
you're gonna do this again, I got to go to the tanning salon.
Okay, deal.
I'll look
Me
like
too.
a lobster.
We'll do it. I'll be in blackface. Well, I'll be so different. It'll be. I'll be so tan. Thank you to the chat for your.
It was really a pleasure, Chrissy. I've always enjoyed your. I've always enjoyed the twins.
Yeah, Chrissie Mayr's boobs. Yes, shout out to Chrissie Mayr's boobs
and their observations. And
that's not me. That's another guy who runs that.
Yeah, but I've enjoyed your direct stuff, and I listened. I did my homework. I listened to a couple of podcasts, and I was going, "Oh yeah, this is a good one." I'm gonna. Speaking of podcasts, my son does. He's part of a gang that's on. Have you heard of the Hate Watch podcast? With
no, but that sounds fun.
They call it a friend simulator, and it's really rude. These guys get really, really rude. It's called Hate Watch.
Oh, I'll check it out.
And he does this thing, and it's just like it's a total scream. And he tells stories about my family but he tells them all wrong, and I have to call him.
That's great.
No, your aunt, your Uncle Herman didn't do that. And, no, Grandpa wasn't a Nazi.
Creative. No, he wasn't a Nazi. He wasn't good enough to be a Nazi. He was.
No, he was a butcher in Laguna Beach. What are you?
That's great.
Or something. Anyway,
thanks
all right,
again,
well, look,
Daniel. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciated being on, and just consider me. I'm a pushover. Ask me again, Chrissy. I'll come back.
Oh, good.
And we'll chat some more.
We'll talk again soon. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.